when we talk about letting go, it's not that you let that go. Letting go is not you let that go, because you let that go is a strategy. That's saying that you as a person are going to let that go. Letting go is a matter of recognizing who you are. Because who you are does not hold on to anything. Who you are does not have trauma. Who you are, if you're driving the car and somebody cuts you off and you say, well, I'm practicing letting go. Well, that may be okay as a way of kind of getting an idea of what letting go is all about. But the actuality of it is that you're driving your car and somebody cuts you off and you have a reaction. You have a negative thought, you have anger or annoyance come up, and you see it for what it is. You see it, right? And when you see it for what it is, and you're not identified with it, so it's not I am angry, it's that there's anger present. Anger has arisen. When you see it, if you see it, you're seeing it, and when you're not identified with it, you're seeing it from awareness. You're seeing it in a way in which you're not attached to it. You're not experiencing it in a way that it's operating you. You're aware of it having arisen. And when you see it that way, that is letting go, right? Because you're not acting it out. That's one of the ways that letting go occurs, is that you find yourself. It doesn't mean that you don't feel the emotion. It doesn't mean that the thoughts don't come up. But the way you're being with it, the presence that you are with it, allows it to happen without you identifying with it in a way, and without you expressing it. Now, when it comes to trauma, the key is this: that in the natural state, who we actually are, does not experience trauma, does not get traumatized. Now, if you're a person and you're identified with the personality, and you're identified with your personal history, and you're identified with your story, then that has a memory that's traumatic, and that memory gets triggered when anything happens around you that stimulates it. But again, as you experience the truth of yourself, as you recognize the truth of yourself, when that memory comes up, when that emotion comes up, when those thoughts that are associated with that trauma come up, it's the same thing as when you're driving your car and annoyance comes up or thoughts come up. You see it for what it is. It doesn't overtake you anymore. You can be with it. You can be present to it. You're not identified with it. And so it comes up. But when it comes up and you're experiencing who you are, you're experiencing being present, you're experiencing the reality of yourself, when it comes up, it will come up and it'll pass. And the fact that you didn't identify with it, the fact that you didn't experience it to be you having that experience, allows it to diminish. And so it will arise and diminish until it bubbles out, until it dissipates, until it dissolves, and then there will be no more triggering of that particular trauma. So it's not that the trauma will disappear completely, right away. It will dissolve along with everything else that dissolves as you experience being present and aware, and these things come up. That's why one of the things that is important to understand about meditation is that if during meditation you experience emotions that arise, you experience fear, you experience memories or whatever the case may be, that you understand to just be present and let them come up. Don't react to it. See it for what it is. That's the key to the experience of who we actually are. We don't try and control anything. You don't try and change anything. You just see what's happening. You see what's happening. You see it for what it is. And when you see it for what it is, you no longer have an attachment or attraction to it. You no longer have an interest in it. It's the same thing with addictions. The way addictions end with this way of experiencing yourself, this way of being, is that they just fall away. They just fall away. You find yourself, whether it's food, whether it's alcohol, whether it's cigarettes, whatever it is, you just notice, because of what's happening is when you're doing it, you start being aware that you're doing it when you're doing it. You can see what's happening. You can see that you know that you're not hungry. You know that you're eating this as a way of trying to change your experience and as a way of trying to feel better. And so you don't try and change it, you just see it for what it is. And as you see it for what it is, gradually your interest in it will dissipate until it no longer has any attraction. You're just not interested. Whatever you're not interested in, you stop giving your attention to. Whatever you stop giving your attention to will eventually dissolve. Because that's how neural patterns get generated in the first place. That you're giving attention to them and that you're identifying. This is very important to understand, that when the personality has your mouth, when your mind has your mouth, it creates with it. I can't get over this. When you say that, you've now created, I can't get over this, and you'll live in that reality. Because you're literally creating it with your speaking. I can't let go. I can't create, I can't. This comes up and I start thinking about it. So all you're doing in the way you're speaking about it, right, is regenerating the reality of it that is a reality in which you can't escape from. And what I'm talking about is if when that comes up, instead of relating to those thoughts and those feelings the way you just spoke, that you see the thought, but you don't follow it. You don't relate to it like it's true just because it occurred in your thinking. You feel the feeling, but you don't relate to it as if that means something, that means that you can't get over this. You just tune into the sensations of that in your body, right? And you just feel the sensations. The same thing is true with fear. Fear is an inevitable thing that at some point you're going to have to face if you're going to do this work and you're going to wake up, right? And when it happens, to just notice in your body the sensation that it occurs. Where is it occurring? What's occurring there? And then notice whatever thoughts arise. But the way you're noticing the sensations and the thoughts is you're not being those. You're not being the thinker of those thoughts. You're aware of the thoughts. You're aware of the sensations in your body. But you're not being the person having emotions. You're aware of the sensations in your body. So that's the difference. That's what you have to bring. You have to bring that understanding to the situation so that when it comes up, that's the way you're relating to it. You're not relating to it like, I can't stop thinking about this. I'll never get over this. That's the stuff that people get into, and then you speak that. But I promise you that if you train yourself to pay attention in such a way that you recognize when something gets stimulated and it starts to arise, and you just be aware of it, but not follow it, not believe the thoughts, not identify with the emotions, you'll begin to see it start to dissipate. It has to happen because you're not giving it the attention that will keep it alive. That's what keeps things alive, is the reality of it, not the way it has initially occurred to you. Giving your attention to the reality of it means giving your attention to the sensations in your body, giving your attention to the thoughts that are arising, right? But you're not giving them attention like that you're following them, you believe them, that they're your thoughts, they're your feelings. No, that's not the way you're giving it attention. You're giving it attention to the actuality of it in terms of how it's occurring. It's occurring in your body. When people experience fear, what they mean by fear is sensations in their body and thoughts, the mind and the body, sensations in my body and thoughts. Right? So that you don't run from it, you run toward it. You pay attention to it. You want to be present to it as it is. And as it is, see, this is the thing. When you're paying attention to it as it is, you're not paying attention to it as a person. See, that's the key to all of this, is that there is no such thing as the person. There is no such reality as the person that got traumatized. There's no such thing as the person that experienced this heartbreak or this loss. That's what we're coming to see. That's what will free us. The truth will free us, because the truth is there was no body to be traumatized. There was no body to be hurt. Now that stuff got recorded in the brain, in the mind, in the body. But as you are present to that, if you experience disassociation or depersonalization, you're avoiding the experience, right? It's not going toward it. It's separating yourself from it. You're cutting yourself off. You're fragmenting. You're splitting, so that you're avoiding the experience. There's a term in spirituality called spiritual bypassing. And what it is, it means that some people who practice meditation and some people who practice spiritual teachings, if they're not careful, if they're not clear about what they're doing, they can do that. They can split. They can use the spiritual idea to try and talk themselves into the idea that they're not having that experience anymore, but they're actually avoiding it. The way you can avoid having that happen is to understand that you go toward what people run from. You go into what you're afraid of. You present yourself to what in the past has been something that you try and stop or control or you don't want. You know, when you try and stop, control, and not want something, right, you're resisting it, and whatever you resist will persist. It's a law. It's a law. Right. Because when you stop re-experiencing something, it no longer feeds energy into that neural pattern. The neural pattern has to be continually given energy to exist. When you withdraw the energy from the neural pattern, it loses its ability to continue to exist gradually until it dissipates. And what happens is when you don't give attention to that neural pattern, you're giving attention to what? You're giving attention to the experience of being the awareness. And that will then reprogram the brain to be in a line and consistent with reality, right? Because when you're experiencing awareness, you're experiencing the way things actually are. So in other words, the brain will then start to create neural patterns that are related to the way things actually are. In other words, the amygdala in the brain is the part of the brain that registers anything that appears to be threatening, right? And then it stimulates the nervous system to react, it stimulates emotions to react, and so forth. Through the practice of meditation, they have shown in research that the amygdala actually shrinks. And the person who's practicing meditation finds themselves reacting less and less to things that are happening, because the brain is now reorganizing itself and creating new neural patterns. And the new neural patterns, for the most part, are neural patterns that are basically saying nothing is happening right now to threaten you. The brain's making contact with reality, right? Nothing is happening to threaten you. You got triggered, something reminded you of a past experience, and that generated a neural pattern that brought up feelings and thoughts, right? But when you're present, what you're present to is that's not happening right now. And that's how you're changing your brain, right? You're present to that's not happening right now, so your attention is not being taken by that, and that therefore dissipates, and that neural pattern dies out, and the new neural pattern that gets generated is nothing's happening right now. And your brain starts to reorganize and and retrain itself, because it's you're literally reconditioning, deconditioning and reconditioning your brain. And this has been shown in brain research with monks who have practiced meditation for 30 or 40 years. They put them in an MRI machine and they look at their brain and they produce stimulation to them, and their brain is a different brain than the ordinary person's brain. It's a different brain. It reorganizes in a different way. They stimulate, they have put monks in MRI machines and they give them a very hot stimulation that the monk didn't know was going to happen. They touched them with something hot. It's not that it would burn them, but it would just be a shot, instantaneous thing. And what they noticed when they did that is the monk's reaction to that was stronger than the average person. But after that reaction, their reaction died out and died down to normal much faster than the average person. So when you're awake and when you're experiencing the reality of who you are, you're more sensitive. You experience more sensitivity to what's happening. But when anything happens, any reaction that you have to it immediately dies out. It's called resilience. Well, most people, when they have something shocking happen, it reverberates. They keep thinking about it. They keep feeling it reminds them of anything else in their life that was like that, and they get caught up in a reaction, a reactive state. You find, as you become more. I was talking to one of my clients he was actually a doctor. He's retired now, but he's been very consistent in practicing meditation and learning about this whole business of being who he really is, and he's taken it very seriously. And he's reporting a very dramatic difference in the way he's experiencing his life. That he's not reacting the way he used to react. There's a lot more calmness. There's a lot more evenness. There's a lot more quality, a lot more enjoyment in life, which is what happens when you recognize the truth of who you are. So it's something that I can't emphasize enough how important it is to if you understand these teachings and these practices and understand what's being talked about as far as the possibility of it is concerned, to really have the intention to pay attention. To pay attention, because you have to. That's part of this. Is you have to start seeing who you're not. You have to start seeing the mental state operating. You have to start seeing how automatic and mechanical it is. You have to recognize who you're not. The more consistently you see that, the sooner you will begin to have an actual experience of who you are. And that's essential. It's essential. At some point, it's necessary at some point for you to actually experience who you are, to actually recognize it. The recognition will be a recognition of who you're being, not you won't be seeing who you are, you'll be being who you are, and there'll be a recognition of your being who you are. Another way that it occurs is you'll see and you'll recognize, for some people the way it occurs is they see in their visual field, they see their visual field as consciousness itself and see that as who they are. So that's why you hear people say that, when they have an awakening experience, that I looked at the tree and I was the tree. I heard the bird and I was the bird, right? Because what they're describing is they're saying that they are consciousness itself. So what's occurring in consciousness is them. If the bird chirps, it's them chirping.